Welcome in to the Mosley Show. And today's cap, this has become a daily thing. I change it up from time to time. That is I believe that's a red wolf. And I like the Fordyce Red Bugs out of Arkansas. Very familiar with that through some family friends. It's also the home of Paul Bear Bryant and Larry Lacewell. But this is another place in Arkansas. This would be the school located in Jonesboro, Arkansas. And that would be Arkansas State. All right. And I believe I was looking today. I was like, oh, what do I want to put on today? A fitted cap, which I normally am not a big fan of, but that's okay. This because they don't fit. The fitted cap used to be, that's what we loved when we were like, when I was in high school, I wanted like college baseball fitted caps. And that's what we wanted to play baseball in. And then at some point, it's like, I don't like that. Like, I like just the old school snap it the way you want it or move that thing, the band. And anyway, this was given to me by current Texas Tech head coach Grant McCasland when he was the Arkansas State head coach. And he sent this to me one time, which was very nice. And there it is. Now, if he sent me Texas Tech material, a cap or shirt or anything, would I wear that? The answer is absolutely not. All right. Same reason, even though my beloved daughter goes to A&M, I don't show up down there. People are like, you'll wear the Aggie stuff. No. I didn't go there. It's longtime rival. That's not what I'm about. I'm about my daughter, but that doesn't mean I'm about my daughter's school. All right. These are how I draw it. Now, other people that are Baylor people, I've got a buddy who I swear he now wants people to think he went to Auburn. His kids went to Auburn. It's all he talks about. Auburn's better. Auburn's a better school. Whatever. If you think that, that's great. You want to wear Auburn stuff? Fine. Whatever. All right. I went to Baylor. I'm a Baylor guy. But Arkansas State is not like even in Baylor's orbit. So I think I can get away with this. It is the Mosley Show. And we're live on Twitter. Hello to our Twitter audience. We got a lot of stuff. Kevin, I think I sent you a little while ago. I know I've sent you a lot of stuff. That thing from Bobby Belt I sent you earlier. I do want to play that at some point. No. Yeah. I think it was at Bobby Belt because I thought that was an interesting scenario. Bobby's part of 105.3, and he played a scenario where the Cowboys could sit there at 12 and really pick between three great players. And I've kind of been at this point for a while, Kevin. Now, I don't know if I made it. He really walked through it, and he had every player who could possibly go in front of the Cowboys at 12, and he leaves a scenario where there are three really high-quality players at 12, the way he does this.
I've got it if you want to play it now.
Okay, all right, I will.
Okay.
Like to play that. Right. I just want to.
And to your point, the fitted hat is the only way to go if you're going to wear it backwards, because without it, it's nothing. It shows weird. Nothing.
Yeah. Although I did the snap kind of things backwards back in the day.
Of course,
the Fiji. I had my purple Fiji cap, had that thing around backwards. Yeah. And again, Kevin, some of us, as we get in our 30s and 40s, kind of grow out of the cap backwards. Some of us don't, and you're not the only one. The owner of our company may be approaching 40 at some point. You know, he loves to get that cap turned around backwards. I don't know what it is. Now, there are some things in life that I will do cap backwards. If the wind's blowing like crazy on the tennis court, I may turn it around backwards. All right. That's about the only time you'll catch me. By the way, got a tennis. I don't like to play in the collared shirt tennis, but I've got the Viore kind of golf shirt today. And I feel like this could be, I really feel like I could do some things out on the tennis court in this, but I don't love they don't breathe that well. I mean, Viores are fine, but I don't like to work out in the collared shirt. That's a problem.
Yeah.
Now, Kev, from time to time, you'll like this. I give tips on this thing. I give like recommendations. And people like me that make the trip up and down the road from Waco to Dallas or from Dallas to Waco, and you're going up and down 35, somebody tipped me off. It was a guy from Meat Church. Meat Church is kind of like a supplier of everything, grilling and all that kind of thing.
Okay.
And they have a store in Waxahachie. And I was coming through town. I was kind of had a hankering for barbecue last night. I said, hey, you got recommendations like in Waxahachie? And he goes, tell you what, where are you? I said, I'm coming through Hillsboro. He goes, go to Drew's Barbecue and Eatery in Maypearl. I'm like, wow, all right.
That's very specific. So
I'm from a town kind of like the size of Maypearl. I'm from Kaufman. Maypearl, that's kind of, I kind of in my mind knew a little bit where that was.
Yeah.
And so basically, if you're in Waxahachie and you got off in Waxahachie and went about 10 miles to the west, that's kind of where this is. Maypearl. You end up in Maypearl, 10 or 15 miles. And it was great. I got brisket, turkey, sausage, mac and cheese, potato salad, pinto beans. And this guy, he's been there about a little over a year, and he's really got a nice spot. And I do not know how these people make it in these tiny, small towns because, it was totally reasonable for what I was getting. I got a half pound of turkey, half pound of brisket, several pieces of, links of sausage. I got the sides, and I got myself an iced tea. They're and $55. And honestly, that's okay. That for that amount, because I was not going to eat all that myself. I shared it with my wife. She likes the turkey, so I thought it was a fair. Again, it's all expensive. Meat, the barbecue prices, it's insane. Okay, but keep that place in mind. Drew's Barbecue and Eatery in Maypearl. Now, Kev, reason I bring that up, other than just to brag on that place, I'm coming through Red Oak last night. You might have wondered, well, Mosley did not respond to me. Kevin was in one of his. Kevin and I, when we go back and forth, Kevin will give me Kevin is a guy that will text you some of the longest explanations. And I'm, sometimes I'm just not in the mood. You know me, Kevin, by now, to deal with that, right? I'm like, okay, these are fine, nice things to say, but right now I'm not dealing with that. Well, there was a reason for that, and it had nothing to do with yesterday's show. I'm coming through Red Oak. I'm rolling through Red Oak, and I'm always kind of the person who's like, how do people have car trouble? Like, what? Don't you take care of your cars? Like, don't you? Like, I'm a little bit judgmental with that kind of thing. I'm like, I don't understand people that have car trouble. Like, if you keep your oil checked and you blah, 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 and you do all the stuff, you should not have car trouble. Kev, famous last words. All of a sudden, I'm wide open on 35, going 70, whatever, 75, and just something shifts in. I'm like, whoa. I've got no horsepower. I lose everything in the vehicle. It's a relatively new, newish. I was using my wife's Honda Pilot. It's fine. It's a fine vehicle. We did have to get a new transmission at 60,000 miles, which is kind of odd, but that's okay. We got it. It was still under warranty. That's fine. That sucker, check engine light flashing. It's shutting down on me. I pull that thing off the road. I do some tricks. I get myself to some back roads to a really nice auto repair place. But by then, it's like 7 o'clock. They're closed. They're gone. So I'm like, do I leave it here overnight? Uber home? How are we handling this? Now, by the way, from Red Oak to my house, 34 miles, Uber said it was only $45. I was shocked by that. That's not bad.
Pretty good. Yeah.
That's not bad. I ended up getting the tow truck to take me to my mechanic back in Dallas. Now, even though I am a AAA guy, that's not cheap, Kev. That's a pretty hefty trip because I get 7 miles free. And so that leaves me 27 miles. at whatever it is, $17 a mile, it adds up. It adds, or maybe even more than that. But anyway, yes, before he would even hook it up, he's like, I need like $250 from you. And I was like, okay. I mean, what are you going to do? I'm in Red Oak. Here's my card. Take whatever you need. So anyway, there you go. And my car is now being worked on. And here's the funny thing about cars.
Do you think people were driving past you judging you? As you have often done to others?
No, because now they might be hearing the story, but I kind of got off where nobody could see me. I was over at I was over at the tire shop, and then I started it back up, and I got to a place where nobody really knew where I was or could see me.
So your past judgment led you to shame in the moment, and you had to duck out.
I just kind of like, it gives me more empathy, because when somebody says to me, I had car trouble, I do have a little bit of judgment on that. I'm kind of like, you shouldn't have let that happen. It's kind of your fault for not taking care of the car. Now, I, like everybody, have had car trouble before. It's not like I haven't, but it's highly unusual for me to have the car shut down on me on 35. That's not something that happens. It did happen. And so here we are. Now, Kev, I do want to talk about sports today at some point, and we will have Campus Confidential 2:00. Grayson, because we get big Baylor news. Grayson Grunhafer from Sikkim 365 will be joining us. I also talked to a couple of people that are big in. So tomorrow we may have a former Baylor assistant basketball coach to weigh in. I may also have an NFL draft expert tomorrow. So we got a lot of things in the works. But today, Grayson Grunhafer, who can speak to both Baylor football right now. And by the way, I did bump into Jake Spavital yesterday after he had been on the John Morris show. And I have to say, he's loving DJ Lagway. Now, who knows what will happen? But I think there's some thought that it's extremely rare. For instance, Tech got I think he's probably a pretty great quarterback. They paid $5 million, whatever, for Sorsby from Cincinnati. Is he going to be good? Probably so. He's already a good quarterback. But there is something to be said about, and I'm sure, Kevin, you would say the same thing about the Big Ten, but a SEC quarterback who's had like 20 starts as an SEC quarterback, it's kind of a big deal. Now, that doesn't mean, he's going to dominate the Big 12, but it's nice. It's a nice basis to kind of jumping off point. And in my brief conversation yesterday with Jake, I mean, receivers, this quarterback, man, I'm telling you, he's very excited. And this was like this was an off the record. Of course, if he said something negative, I'd probably keep it off. I don't burn people when they go off the record or whatever, but this was just, not even off the record. This was what I would call just a casual visit. What's going on, man? Everything's going. I mean, I didn't have time to get into anything big, but I just continue to be struck by Spavital's even though he's coached Fernando Mendoza and Johnny Manziel and Geno Smith and Will Greer, and you keep naming them. I mean, it's kind of, he is very fired up about coaching this quarterback. And I just thought I would mention that. Now, at 2:00 today, we are going to talk about what the breaking news from today, that involves a Baylor player who the other day, Kev, we were all over this one. We were all over this discussion. It happened. Kev, let's play the breaking news. Okay, I think it's appropriate, even though we're a couple of hours removed. Penn State transfer. Oh, we've already got the Photoshop. There he is. Caden Mingo has committed to Baylor. 6'3" guard, averaged nearly 14 points. That's how we do it. Kind of like, 13.7. So we just kind of round up a little bit. 4.3 assists, 3.5 rebounds, 2.1 steals during his freshman season. I love the steals. I was kind of monitoring that late in the season. Now, Kevin, you are a Big Ten snob. Indiana now has like 7 guys in the portal. They've got all the money in the world. But and Penn State is the dregs of the Big Ten, okay, when it comes to basketball. For whatever reason, they just can't play basketball. Now, a few years ago, the Notre Dame coach, the current Notre Dame coach, has he been fired yet? I don't know. They had that Micah Shrewsbury. You know him? Yeah. He used to be at Penn State. Did a pretty nice job. Did a pretty nice job at Penn State. For a couple of years, they were like decent. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I don't think Penn State have they ever been to the Sweet 16? Maybe like the 1940s or something. Right. Penn State is horrible at basketball. But that doesn't mean this kid's not really good. And freshman point guard, 6'3". Now, I've been putting out all the feelers, trying to kind of get all my people to sound off on this. What I think. Now, okay. Isaiah is back, right? Isaiah, we've talked about that. Isaac Williams is back on a 2-year deal. They've added the guy we had on yesterday, our man Brett Decker, Triple Decker. There he is, okay? And now you've got the great Mingo. I mean, this is good. This is good. This is what you did not have. Rob Wright left everybody in a lurch, and the Bears tried to put something together, piecemeal together. Oh, we got Obi Agbum. We got Isaac over here on the bench. Who else can we? We got JJ. Well, JJ got hurt. JJ White. Big-time locker room guy. Great kid. He's not a guy that's going to give you 20 minutes a game and 10 points or anything like that. They now have the makings of a 3-guard nucleus. Okay, and then hopefully more help on the way. You don't stop here. You don't stop at 3 guards and go, we're done. Got to go find a stretch 4. Got to go find a couple more centers. You have the makings of the center position with Bodo, Mayo, Soso. You're okay. I mean, again, Bodo scares me because the guy can't stay off a scooter. He gets himself hurt. Then I think he's had a couple of surgeries, and he's a 7 foot. I mean, he's a 6'10", 6'11" guy, great wingspan, whatever. All right, let's get him out on the court. Do we think he's going to play next year? We do. Would I like to see the man running up and down the court at some point? Yes, I would. Yes, I would, before I make too much of this. Who else do they have waiting in the wings? Michael Perez, Iguodala. They've got a few others that are just kind of sitting out over there like, hey, what are you guys up to? Oh, we're here. We're here practicing. So we'll see how this thing comes together. Okay. The Bears have not set the world on fire in this portal. And Kevin, neither have KU. I mean, Kansas finally got their first player today. I mean, there's a lot of school. UConn just finally getting their first player or two in the portal. Now they got to keep Demery. Duke had not signed anybody in the portal as of yesterday. So I don't want people to just go, oh my gosh, Baylor only got these 2 guards. Well, we'll see. We'll see. I know Louisville and Indiana have come out just machine gun fire, just like, we're going to take everybody's players and look at us. And this is going to be amazing. Well, as of yesterday, Vandy, Duke, all those ones I was just mentioning, Nobody. Kansas. No, they had not added anyone. All right. Remember the news from yesterday. We had kind of a chaotic day yesterday. We had fun at Brazos Landing. We had a lot going on. Rob Wright decided to go to BYU. Let me tell you who else is mad at their coach and mad at everything. And Scott Drew, as bad as this past year was, has to be thinking his lucky stars he didn't go to Kentucky. What a rough spot. What a rough place, because they love it. On one hand, it's great to have a passionate fan base, but they're already done with Mark Pope. I mean, we're 1 week into the portal. We're 1 week in, and they're just like, oh, let's move on. We don't have enough portal people. Everybody's left. Everybody's headed to Mormon land or Louisville or wherever. It's bad. It's rough. It is rough out there. In fact, by the way, let me tell you who else didn't have anybody in the portal yet. LSU. Well, wait a second, Matt. I thought Will Wade went there. I thought they'd have everybody. Well, not yet. Not yet. So I'm just saying, let's not panic that Baylor hadn't brought in like 5 or 6 portal folks. They do have some people in-house that can help them. They need more, though. They need more. I keep seeing Ashley, and we'll ask Grayson about this, mention Alan Graves as a possible player that could play the 4 position for them. Kev, we do this. We don't really do this with the Indiana coach because we're still kind of waiting to see what he becomes. But with certain teams, the minute they bring somebody in, certain programs, and I'm like this with Kelvin Sampson. Doesn't matter. You could call it Radford. You could call it any place, Bellarmine, wherever wherever he brings them in from. I'm like, I immediately go, oh, dang it. Oh, dang it. That's a player. Why is that? Well, because they develop people. They put people in great spots. And he has a proven track record. Almost no one has ever gone to Houston and not improved. And some people improve to such an extent that it's like they almost are different players. Milo Uzan was just kind of wandering around at Oklahoma, had a little bit of talent, but I promise you, if you watch Big 12 basketball before they went to the SEC, you watched Uzan and you were just like, I don't know, like 10 points a game, 8 points a game, not much. Goes to U of H and dang near helped them win a national title. And then past year helped them get back to Sweet 16. So there are programs. Let me tell you somebody else that has barely signed anybody yet. That is Texas Tech. Okay. They're great in the portal. They got all the money in the world. Well, what's going on? What's going on? Grant McCaslin hasn't signed anybody yet. Is everybody out there saying the sky is falling? Oh my gosh, Tech's not going to be good next year. You know they will be. You know they'll find a way to be good. Kev, here, I was going to tell you, this is like the part where we go, things Mosley is hearing. Who is somebody named Cruz that I was monitoring out there? I'm trying to think which school he is from. I was hearing earlier today that is where he's going to Texas Tech. All right. It was another player that I was kind of interested in. And I just can't find it now.
Zion
Cruz. What position does he play?
Guard, 6'5".
Yeah. It's probably him. So somebody was telling me, somebody in the know, that they were hearing today that Cruz is maybe headed to Texas Tech. That's a good. There's a good chance perhaps that is happening. So keep our eye on that. Oh, there it is. Yeah, point guard from Hofstra. Kev, is that who you were looking at? Was he from Hofstra? Whoever you just told me.
Yep.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. That I think. I've got it on good authority. They're closing in on that youngster out of Hofstra. So good job, Kevin, connecting the dots on that. Now, one of my good buddies in the business, longtime assistant coach, high-level assistant coach, national championship winning assistant coach. This was his scouting report on Mingo. All right. Caden Mingo, who has now signed with Baylor. There he is. I like how long he is. I like how tall. I like the length. You can tell he's going to have good wingspan just by looking at him. I think he's going to improve greatly as a defender. I think he can pressure the ball. You see with the steals that he's knocking down passes. He's getting in passing lanes. Penn State was... Kev, I think they were like 250th in the country in defense. It was bad. It was bad. But this man will play a little bit of defense. More of a transitional point guard, can create for others in himself. Never been a great shooter, but he's good enough to make shots. And I think that what that kind of means is he can slash, get in there, get into the paint, but hopefully get to the line. Shoots about 70% from the free throw line, so not too bad there. Decent defender, really good kid. All right. The guy we talked to yesterday, known as the Triple Decker. There he is, Brett Decker Jr. He is an elite three-point shooter. So, Bears are trying to put some pieces together. And as somebody made a good point on one of the boards, I think over at Siegmund 365, they were kind of mentioning like Davion Mitchell, who's now a starting point guard for the Miami Heat, was kind of a rough prospect at one point. Didn't get to play for Bruce Pearl at Auburn, barely any. About the same amount of time like Cam was playing at Tennessee. Comes to the Bears, sits out a year. First year with the Bears, talking about Davion Mitchell. Good player, didn't shoot it that well. Shot it about 32% from three. And by the time he left and became a lottery pick, I believe he's a lottery pick, Davion was shooting the ball around 40%, around 40% from three, somewhere in that 38 to 40% range if I had his final year. So, wow. That is so anyway, I like it. I like a couple of guards. Bears are getting involved. Look at some of these other players. They got a kid named Matt. All right, always try to sign people named Matt that they're looking at. They've made the final 7. This is the way we do things now. Oh my Lord! Oh my goodness! We've made the final 7. Let's throw a parade. Somebody from NC State named Matt Abel. Okay, long. I think Matt Abel. Okay, I'm getting all my players mixed up. He may be 6'7" or something like that. May have some really good length. Shoots the three a little bit. About 8.8 a game. We live in a portal world where guys that are scoring like 4 to 6 points a game are getting paid. Like, oh man, look at Baylor. Look at this guy. And that's why I would be scared to death of like these guys from Duke and UConn. Hey, I'm not saying they're not great prospects, but you're giving big money to guys who were scoring like 3.5 or 4 points a game, couldn't get on the floor for the respective teams. Now, that said, Kevin, that guy that we've talked about before from Duke, who I think was eating with Danny Hurley yesterday up at UConn. The kid's name was Naminya or something like that. Remember from Duke? He was coming off the bench, but he was getting some pretty good playing time. And he actually, in that game that Duke lost to UConn, hit a couple of big shots late. I thought he kind of, I think he's got something. He has gone in the portal, and he is talking to Danny at UConn. All right. And Kev, you're a person who does a lot of tennis announcing. You kind of know who I'm talking about. It's like, I think it's spelled like Nemenia or something. Naminya or something like that. Does that ring a bell to you? Anyway, I think he's good. I think he's going to be a good player. I really do. Now, I'm just looking at some of the points that are coming in to me. Everybody's asking about Mingo. I like this. And I like also, Kevin, when I brag on our buddies out there, like at FAU, that the FAU staff really appreciates that. I put up something about that group, John Jacobs and Aditya Mohatra and all that. I love those guys, and Isaiah, who used to be Obim. How you say Obim's Obi? We call Obim a KK. Anyway, used to be with Baylor. A lot of them are Baylor guys out at FAU. Kev, it's kind of like that Fresh Prince thing where he's walking around in the empty room. Every year they assemble this unbelievable group of players, and every year people come in and just take all of them. They kept Cannon Carlisle, who's a pretty good player. Everybody else, Devin Vanderpool, all these really good players. And, Scott has kind of an agreement with his former coaches that he won't poach their players. I wish they could change that, because if they are going to go somewhere and get paid, why not go to a friend? But I do like that about Scott, that he's kind, generous, and he's not trying to, it's the same reason people aren't allowed to just take all the Scott staff members with them when they get hired elsewhere. But that'll make you weep almost, Kev, when you look at a mid-major like FAU and you go freshman of the year, newcomer of the year, all the accolades in the American Athletic Conference, and then the whole roster is just picked clean and they have to start all over. Well, they're not the only ones it's happening to. But here's what it's good news and bad news. Now, here's what I would do. I don't know if they're doing this or not, but Kevin, if I were a mid-major coach, I would lean into that heavily. And I would start putting out the stats. We have produced more high major first team or second team than any program in the country. Because guess what? Freshmen that don't quite make the cut at the high majors, the big time developing or bigs or European types, man, they see that. So I would, if I were a mid-major coach and I was losing players constantly to high majors, I would start using that as marketing material. Basically, we are the number one supplier of high major talent in America. Put it up on the billboards. Instead of being mad, tampering, this stinks, we don't have enough money to keep our players, lean into it. This is, again, Mosley marketing help that nobody seeks. It's unsolicited advice, but it's, for instance, if Baylor, think about Baylor has a really talented marketing department. They're great. I'm sure they're all great. And of course, Jason Cook, who's head of all that, is a good friend of mine. But Jason has this huge staff. Think of what he could do, Kevin, if he just said, you know what, I probably ought to just bring Mosley over. He would never in a million years. He knows better. Okay. We'd never get anything done. We'd just be goofing around all the time. But I am available for free advice. And the problem is, Kevin, sometimes they, not Jason, but others take me up on it. All right. But anyway, I have not found a way to be compensated for things like that. All right, Kev. It is time, and we got this major 2:00 guest. Grayson Grundhafer is going to join us from Sikkim, and then we will have a huge NFL stuff for you. There's more and more stuff out there, and there's evidence that if the Cowboys could stand pat, I mean, like, why give up all your picks and come up and get Sonny Styles if you don't have to? Is there a way you could stay put and have Sonny Styles come rolling down to you, or Mansour Delane? There's some thought out there that something like that could happen. We'll kind of help you understand that at about 2:30 today. Next, let's do some Campus Confidential.
At Schmaltz Sandwich Shop, we don't just make sandwiches, we build them with fresh ingredients, bold flavors, and homemade baked bread every single day. Toasty on the outside, goodness on the inside. Schmaltz Sandwich Shop in Waco is locally owned and operated since 1975 with 2 locations in Waco, Town West off Valley Mills and downtown off 5th Street. Whether it's lunch, dinner, or just a craving, we got the perfect bite waiting for you.
This year, I made a New Year's resolution. I want every business to own a new copier from CTWP. Call me, Leroy the Copier Dog. Let's get you a copier delivered today. CTWP, your local copier company.
The Riesel Fair is back and bigger than ever. Bring the whole family for a day packed with fun, from thrilling rides, delicious food, local vendors, and live music Friday night. Saturday music begins at 2 p.m. Admission is $5 for adults, 2 to 12 years, $3, 2 and under are free. Mark your calendar and join us for the Riesel Fair, May 7th through 9th. The Riesel Fair, where memories are waiting just for you.
With Ease US, make studio quality voiceovers for your videos online in over 149 languages and dialects. Never been easier to create professional grade videos and voiceovers. Try it today at easeus.com. That's EASEUS.com. Ease US.
Tervis is all about staying hydrated. Each product is built to last and comes in endless designs to match your personality. Stay refreshed and express yourself with Tervis. Visit tervis.com today and find your perfect tumbler.
Dive into adventure with scuba.com, your ultimate destination for top-tier scuba and snorkeling gear. Whether you're a beginner or a pro, trust scuba.com for the best in diving equipment and expert guidance. Explore now at scuba.com. That's SCUBA.com. Scuba.com. Samsonite is the world leader in durable, high-quality luggage and travel accessories. Travel with Samsonite and pack confidence every step of the way. Shop now at shop.samsonite.com. Samsonite.
So all you have to do is tap your Popple to the back of someone's phone, like that, and they instantly get your social media and contact info right on the screen. They don't need an app or a Popple to receive your info. So get your Popple today and start impressing everyone you meet. Make it pop.
Golf Partner, the world's largest golf store network, offers more purchasing opportunities than anywhere else. With a dominant market share and a wider selection of quality secondhand golf clubs than our competitors, we make it easy for you to enjoy the game with affordable, top-quality equipment. Golf Partner, overwhelmed by your inbox? Clean Email is here to help. Organize, clean, and manage your emails with powerful automation tools. Say goodbye to spam and clutter and enjoy a stress-free inbox. Try Clean Email today at cleanemail.com.
Designed to elevate the off-road experience, enabling adventurers to conquer any terrain. For 50 years, you've trusted us on your toughest recoveries, to your most breathtaking destinations, and in countless unforgettable memories.
It is the Mosley Show, and checking on checking on a couple things, talking to all my people across the country on some of these things, and I just retweeted something. That's good. Kev, as we get ready for Campus Confidential, Evan Mayakawa, who does a really nice job on some analytical type stuff, and you can follow him at Evan Maya, Miya. I think sometimes like Pete Souza and others have talked about him on the ESPN broadcast. It says Caden Mingo has a better transfer rating than any player Baylor brought in last summer through the portal. Mingo is in the top 20 transfers at evanmaya.com. Talented player out of high school who's projected to make another leap next year. Really good playmaker. Now, Dylan Mingo, his brother, is bigger than him, a real top dog recruit who was headed to UNC, but decided to withdraw his commitment. And there's some thought that maybe this could be a package deal. Could you get the Mingo brothers to Waco? Dylan, again, a little bigger, and neither one of them great shooters. But, again, that's what we said. We've said that about some other guards in the past that ended up becoming great players. I'm telling you, Teague was a brilliant three-point shooter. Now, if you went out there at any point and looked at that shot, you would say, how in the world can he make anything? Well, how in the world could Matrix make anything with that? I mean, just out there, just basically doing that from his chest. Well, I don't know. It went in. Seemed to go in a lot. Also helped that Matrix could jump out of the gym. Mingo is pretty quick. He can get in the lane, distribute, all that good stuff. All right, Kev, and pace yourself here. We can always come back, but I am curious with all this portal stuff happening. Baylor keeps adding people. I saw Nikki tweeting about another edition. I hope we're not giving every bit of our money to the women. Have we given the men some portal money? I'm kidding. Both sides. Hey, equality. Men and women. All right here. Except
earlier, I thought you were doing a 6'7" there.
What's that?
Earlier, you mentioned somebody was 6'7", so I didn't know if that's what you were doing there.
No, I am.
That's run its course. So
I'm personally trying to make that all go away, and just where I can say it without people immediately thinking that. But for kids and stuff, I don't think it's going away. But for us,
it's pretty much
adults,
over at this point.
For adults, it needs to go away. Kids love to kind of keep that going. Okay, and we love to see the kids happy. All right. What do you have for us in today's edition of Campus Confidential?
Yes. So with all the portal and everything, does it say more about professional pay structures for rookies or the out-of-control nature of NIL that players like Ivisic, Stojakovic, and Caden Boozer are all choosing to stay in college?
Okay, repeat the first part of that. Does it say what now?
Is it say more about the professional pay structures for rookies or the out-of-control nature of NIL? Again, your choice.
Out-of-control nature of NIL. Yeah, I mean, for years, you would kind of want to get your NBA career started because then you want to get an early start and work toward that next contract, which no matter what the scale is or where you go, if you're as good as you hope to be, that's when you're going to get paid. And it used to be also that even just a NBA minimum or even like a two-way contract, right, was going to be way more than anything you could get at the collegiate level. And that changed dramatically. So some of those borderline first rounders like a Ivisic would probably go, 25 or maybe late first round. I may be doing him wrong there, but I think that's around where he would go. I'm talking about the best Avicic. I think it's Tomasoff.
Yeah.
And then that other kid's coming back too, isn't he? The guy that starts with a K. What's that guy's name? Anyway, he's good. He's really good. That Illinois player that begins with a K. They've got so many international guys, and even their guys just from random Indiana towns have like international sounding names. But that and yeah, what it provides, people like Krivas and Condon, who's apparently coming back to the Florida Gators. Those monstrous play Volkiitis at UT for University of Texas. These sort of unbelievable bigs. Adai at Michigan. Yeah. They all would have gone. This changed about the time Edey was leaving to go to the NBA, and like what I don't remember is I'm trying to think when all this hit, because I think the first guy to make some serious dough by staying, or one of the first, was Drew Timme. I think right about the time this rolled out, Drew was kind of deciding what his future was with Gonzaga. And he came back a year or two extra. Same thing with the guy who went from Michigan to Kansas. See, a player like that, he's on the NBA roster now. He'll never do anything in the NBA except be on a roster, because he's 7 foot. He's an okay 3-point shooter. And if you can do those things, you could hang around for about 8 years in the NBA and not play, right? Now, every once in a while, one of those white stiffs will amount to something. Like you'll go, whoa, wait a second. I thought he was a big white stiff for so-and-so. And I'll tell you who's like that. Cornette. I just kind of always thought of him as, that's pretty awesome that he gets to have an NBA career. His mom was in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. She was a TV reporter's anchor in the Dallas area. Very nice woman. Tracy Cornette, I think was her name. And I always thought that's kind of neat that her son gets to play in the NBA. He's just on the roster, right? That dude plays now. I mean, he became a player for Celtics, right? And maybe he's somewhere else right now. He's kind of a player. So occasionally one of those guys will take the next step. But they're the big European, it doesn't matter. I shouldn't have brought race into it. But the 7 foot any race player now has a spot. Like Badunga, even 3 or 4 years ago, would have been gone after his freshman year. You go, well, man, he wasn't that great as a freshman. I know. But he scored like 10 points a game, and he can block shots, and he can jump, and he can do the traits that NBA teams. He was a rim runner, and now those guys play 3 or 4 years of college basketball. So that part of it's great. There's some really good things about the portal. We sometimes only talk about the negatives. There's some fun stuff about the portal. Now, when you're bad, like Baylor was last year, you just hate the portal. You just go, I hate it. It's ruined everything for us. We won the national title, and now we don't have a shot. Well, you have to learn. You got to learn how to play the portal game. You got to do it. And I thought there were signs that the Bears should have been great at the portal. So sadly, they have slipped lately. But hopefully they'll be back. And I would say today was a great start. Caden Mingo is, and I love Brett Decker. He's probably watching today. I love what he's going to do. He's a top. He was all these guys who played against him. They said as long as he plays next to a true point guard, who can penetrate, dish, and do all the stuff, like Caden Mingo, this kid's going to be okay. And so I'm excited. I'm excited to see that. Kev, you got one more, and we got to get ready for our guest.
Yep. Cooper Manning said that Arch going to the draft this year was never discussed in any way, shape, or form. Will that end up hurting or helping his draft stock for next year?
Wait, okay, I'm so sorry. I was getting some news as we spoke, as you were saying. So the first part of the Manning thing.
Yeah, his dad, Cooper, said that going to the draft was not discussed in any way, shape, or form. Okay. Is that going to help or hurt his stock for next year? The other quarterbacks probably in that class: Julian Sayin, Dante Moore, Jaden Mayava, and maybe C.J. Carr from Notre Dame.
Oh no, I don't think it hurts at all. I think everybody, believes he probably made the right decision. And, with Fernando now, next year is going to be a great battle, and there'll be more talented quarterbacks earlier in the draft.
That's kind of my thought.
But given his
this
platform,
was a weaker class.
Yeah. But even if he had been in this class, the best he would have gone was probably early second round. He has the opportunity now to play himself into a top 5 pick. Absolutely. Like if he's as good as he was supposed to be last year, but no, if he continues to improve and has a great season with his platform and who he is and his name, there's no reason in the world he can't be top 5. All right, Grayson is in the hole. Let's take a quick break, and then we'll have Grayson Grunhafer will join the Matt Mosley Show.
Enjoy a quiet atmosphere with beautiful river views at the Brazos Landing, located in Waco along the Brazos River across from McLean Stadium. Enjoy homemade dishes like shrimp and grits, chicken piccata, braised short ribs, prime New York steaks, and more. Plus, enjoy a delicious dessert like creme brulee or key lime pie. Open for lunch and dinner Tuesday through Sunday. Brazos Landing in Waco, the only place where I-35 and the Brazos River meet.
Lake Waco Golf Club is a semi-private facility nestled along the north point of Lake Waco, one of the few facilities in Texas to have a full 18-hole regulation golf course as well as an executive 18-hole par 3 golf course. Plus, check out their bar and grill, which is open to the public. And if you're not a golfer, then enjoy time by the pool or even enjoy fishing around Lake Waco. Become a member today and call to book your tee time. Lake Waco Golf Club, where family and friends fun begins. Check them out at lakewacogc.com for more information.
Bubble wasn't here. I don't know what people would be doing, like making PowerPoints or something. I love that I can sit down and build something the way that I think it should be built.
Bubble turns ideas into fully scalable apps. Try Bubble today.
At Covers & All, we've revolutionized protective solutions with cutting-edge, customizable covers, tarps, and curtains. We deliver premier protection at affordable prices and express shipping. Visit coversandall.com today for the perfect fit, guaranteed to last.
Better sleep, inspired by nature. Your back, hips, and shoulders will fall into perfect alignment in any position, meaning that you get deeper, more comfortable rest. Visit ecoterrabeds.com.
Cleanse your body of accumulated toxins and embark on your wellness journey at your own pace. At Global Healing, we provide premium supplements to help your body heal naturally. Start your healing journey today at globalhealing.com and organichemp.com.
Relax with Hemp Delicious. Organically grown hemp, massively blended with delicious organic herbs, responsibly sourced for their holistic benefits. Each sip offers calming, antioxidant-rich wellness. Brewed just for you. Sip the calm with Hemp Delicious.
Is your Mac running slow? Mac Booster 8 is your all-in-one solution to clean up 20 types of junk files. Get your Mac running like new again with Mac Booster 8. Visit macboost.net today.
I know you're gonna love this Kodak Dot Plus printer. You guys just connect it to your smartphone. I can assure you, you are going to love this printer as much as my family has. You guys have to check it out for yourself.
At Mapify, we believe in celebrating your journey. Our unique personalized products are designed to boost your confidence. From custom home decor to meaningful gifts, we help you cherish the memories that make you who you are. Visit mapify.com and start celebrating your story today.
All right, it's the Mosley Show. We're rolling again. Grayson Grunhafer taking a quick break from the portal, although news could break any moment. And Grayson Grunhafer joining us right now. And good to see you, buddy. How are you doing?
Doing good. It's been busy, that's for sure. I think it always gets interesting around this time because my focus is always football, right? Football recruiting. Yeah. That's kind of like my main thing for Siegmund 365, even though I kind of do everything. But when portal season starts for basketball, it's like all hands on deck. So it's definitely been a busy time period, but a fun time period so far. And finally some news. I know Baylor fans were getting a little anxious with having only one commit up to this point. So good news today, which I think definitely makes things feel a little bit better on the boards.
And you went with a boom about 3 hours ago when it happened. Caden Mingo from Penn State. Now, Grayson, you're probably like me. You're already looking at highlights and cut-ups, and you're like, now, why is this shot? Why is that three-point shot? Why is that not going in? You know, like looking at his and by the way, when you watch Brett Decker, their first portal edition, you see immediately why he shoots such a high percentage. It's unbelievable mechanics, and there's really no reason why that shouldn't translate as he moves to a high major. But just overall, what does this mean for the Baylor team now? And like just as a prospect, you had all kind of where he's ranked, and people seem to have him anywhere from like top 20 to top 25 or whatever in all the various transfer portal rankings of players. What was your impression of this prospect even before it became official today?
So he was actually the point guard that I really wanted Baylor to land when you looked at the guys who they were actually in on, right? There's some guys they weren't going to get that they just simply weren't in on. I mean, Jackson Shellstad from Oregon going to Louisville, they weren't in on him. So not really counting him, but other guys they were looking at. Mingo just makes a lot of sense. So you have the connection with VJ Edgecombe. They went to the same school, Long Island Lutheran in New York. So there's that connection there. His brother, Dylan, obviously was a guy that Baylor recruited pretty heavily. So there's connections there. So Baylor's gotten to see him a lot. And I think that's a big part of this is they know a lot of the backstory information about him, which is so important. I mean, we saw this year, they took a lot of guys that you just kind of, watching film and talking to people, and that's how you build your evaluations. But with Caden, they've gotten to see him a lot and know a lot about him. I think that's really important. I think some of the things that stand out to me, he was a captain for Penn State as a true freshman. That is big for a high major program to have him, a freshman, as a captain. I do think that's huge. They were terrible this year. He was asked to do far more than he should have been asked to do. I think part of that is driving down his shooting percentages. He wasn't a great shooter in high school, but he was kind of inconsistent, meaning EYBL tournament, he shot 50% from three. But then you look at season production, he shoots like 22% from three. So there's just a lot of kind of conflicting data with him. He's just been inconsistent so far throughout his career, shooting some high highs and some very low lows. But when you look at him, some of the other things that stand out, I think he's going to be a really good defensive player. He was good this year, second best defense player on Penn State's team as a true freshman. But I think there's reasons to think he'll be better. He creates a lot of havoc and he pressures the ball really well. Those are things Baylor didn't do a very good job of this year. And so I do think you're going to see him take a huge step forward there and actually be a very, very good defender at 6'3" with a 6'7" wingspan, a great size, great height. I think that holds up really well in the Big 12. So those are some of the biggest reasons. He also gets into the paint exceptionally well, which is something, Baylor did to some extent last year. But the problem was every time they got in the paint, it was looking for a shot. They didn't really do a good job of getting in the paint to kind of create offense for other people. And so I think that's an area where he definitely should help some things for Baylor in totality. But I think in general, the weaknesses, shooting, How good is he going to be as a true point guard? More of a combo guard at this point in his career. And the strengths are defense, I think leadership, work ethic, ability to get into the paint. I think those are some of the things that are pretty exciting about Caden.
All right. So with Isaac and Brett Decker, the makings of what they could do with their guards, I think Scott has learned, Grayson, that you just don't shut it down at guard, do you? I mean, like, as much as they need to fill out the rest of their team and hopefully they retain a few guys. I mean, what do you, in your mind, what becomes the next thing? Baylor, a lot of people have said, and I think you've said this, hey, they need like 4 or 5 guys in the portal. There are other schools that really haven't started taking a lot of guys. Kansas was one of them. UConn was one. I think Duke just found out that Caden Boozer's coming back. But like, on your wish list for Baylor, what is next?
I'd like to see them take another guard. And I think and this can be a wing as well, but they need another guard or wing that can shoot the basketball. They don't need another point guard because you got Caden, you got Isaac. They're going to run the offense, I think, for you at that position. But you got Decker, who's a shooter, but I think you need another shooter. It can be various positions, but I think it needs to be somewhat of a wing type prospect. Obviously, you would like to have Tunde back as well. And so if you get Tunde back and you have another shooter out there, on your roster, I think it really complements the offense pretty well. My number one thing on my wish list, though, is they need to find a 4. They need to find a 4 that can really impact the game. And they got some guys who are kind of on this list there. I think there's options here. You could go out and just say, hey, we're going to take 2 different 4s, 2 different like wing forward types, one that can shoot, one that's more defensive oriented. Or you can go and find a complete package guy, which, you know, there's a couple guys out there. I mean, the main one is Santa Clara forward Alan Graves, who is just an absolute monster. I mean, he's a fringe first-round pick. He's going to be recruited by a lot of schools. LSU, Baylor, and Duke have been the ones that have been linked to him the most. He's going to be very expensive, but he is one heck of a basketball player, and he would certainly round things out. He can shoot the basketball. He scores well in the paint. You can actually feed him in the post, which is something Baylor really hasn't had in recent seasons. And the other area I would address is probably finding another center. I just think you got these injury concerns with Bodo. You know, how healthy is he going to be? You got Mayo right now. You know, we'll see kind of what ends up going on there. Michael Perez, those 2 guys are still on the roster, but I still think like you need depth there because as we saw this year, guys got hurt and then they didn't really have anyone else. It was basically just running out Caden Powell. You're throwing out Michael Ratai playing small ball 5. That stuff just doesn't really work. The year before, Norchad Omir, who was phenomenal, is being asked to play the 5, which is not his position, and they got eaten alive at the rim on defense. And so they really, I think, need to shore that up as well.
Who do you like? What about that Matt Abel? Is that still a possibility? And I think you said that maybe Baylor was in his like top 7 last time I saw something on him.
Baylor it was in his top 7. He took a trip to UCLA. I think Baylor's very much involved there. That it's just so complicated with the NIL budget these days. I mean, you know, when you look around and I'm talking about Alan Graves, he's going to be really expensive. Matt Abel's going to be really expensive. Bringing back Tunde is going to be really expensive. So once you start adding up those numbers, it kind of makes you sit back and kind of take a step back and realize what is actually realistic and whatnot. I would be shocked if Baylor could take both Matt Abel and Alan Graves and retain Tunde. I don't think that's realistic, but I do think bringing back Tunde and then trying to get a guy of that mold, of that level of player makes sense. They have a great connection with Matt Abel from high school. He played really well as a freshman at NC State, averaged, I think, right around 10 points a game, shot 37% from 3. He kind of, when you watch him play, he'll remind you a little bit of Cam Carr. He's not as athletic, but a good shooter, long, tall frame, just would fit really well and is kind of predicted in my eyes to take that big leap next year. And I do think he's a guy that will stay in college because, again, this year's draft class is just set up for so many good basketball players to stay in college. And it just is.
Why wouldn't Baylor, isn't that weird that FAU produces all these, they just get their roster picked clean And I'm sure Scott has an arrangement like, hey, I'm not going to come poach your players. But does it ever occur to you, like, if somebody's going to get them anyway, wouldn't they almost rather them go to a friend? I mean, if the money's all relatively the same, I mean, it's kind of remarkable to me. I know they weren't great this season, and they had tons of they had injuries and a lot of close losses. Yet, again, like freshman of the year, newcomer of the year, and their whole roster, I think Kanan Carlisle was a guy that stayed, but everybody else has gone to high majors. A lot of them have. And it's interesting to me how, you would almost think you wish some of those guys, like at Wichita State and FAU, if those guys were going to leave anyway, that Baylor might be in the plans, because those players like Vanderpool, the guy that went to Texas, the big man who's been incredible, and he was already really good, I should say. So that would have been a huge, big money type deal. But has that ever crossed your mind? Like, wouldn't it be kind of nice to work with Jacobs on this if these kids are going to leave anyway?
I definitely understand that. And I think that's a piece of the puzzle. The other piece of the puzzle is, I mean, Jacobs is probably going to be really honest with Scott Drew about, how good a player is and what their strengths are, how they fit. So, I mean, I think it's telling as to why you wouldn't, right? You probably have more information than everyone else. You're going to have more transparency and honesty about how much is this guy really worth? And so, yeah, I mean, it'd be nice in theory if you're able to pick off guys like that. I know Cincinnati just lost a transfer, Baba Miller, and he was at Florida Atlantic before going to Cincinnati. So that's an interesting one there. I don't know if he really fits Baylor just because he's not quite a great shooter, at least this year, but he shot pretty well for Florida Atlantic the year before. Good defense player as well. So just throwing that name out there just because I just saw he entered the portal. But yeah, it's also intriguing. There's a lot of different, kind of areas that you can look at, but I do think, a lot of this is about how much information do you have on guys? Because I think as we saw last year, missing out on some of that information, missing out on, maybe some of those finer details, I think hurt them quite a bit last year.
Okay. Do you like, Grayson, kind of where this, let me ask you this. Big 12, from what you've seen so far, it's funny how we look at Kelvin Sampson, right? And we go, oh, well, those guys are going to be awesome. And they may not be, but it's just because of who he is and the way he runs his program, you're always going to give him the benefit of the doubt. Any Big 12 teams, TCU loses David Punch early on is like, man, TCU is going to be really good retaining players. Suddenly they lose some players. K-State has a new coach. Cincinnati, you just mentioned, has a new coach. Anybody that grabs your attention, maybe a little bit off the radar, Big 12 wise?
Well, I mean, I'm fascinated by what Kansas is going to do because they have hemorrhaged players to the transfer portal. They are looking at a total rebuild. And so I'm very curious what their roster is going to end up looking like by the end of this portal cycle. And I mean, I think that probably speaks to maybe what's to come. Maybe there's more entries than we think are going to happen that are about to come because, these things can just continue to drag out. But you just sit there and go, man, Kansas's roster looks terrible. There's no way this is going to be their roster heading into the year. They got too much money committed. I know before the portal cycle started, they were in that rumored group of having that, 12 to 15 million for this season. So I'm fascinated to see kind of how that's going to work out for Bill Self. That's been a big one that's been on my radar. Cincinnati and those schools that are rebuilding, I think it's not really a surprise to see them losing guys. I think they're probably going to have a rough year. I was surprised to see Iowa State losing Momo, their really good shooter. I kind of couldn't believe it. And he left. He's going to enter the draft, but he's probably going to end up at Florida. It was like immediate. And that is surprising to me because TJ Altenberger has done such a great job at retaining players. Like they've kept pretty much everyone. They've had such good rosters. I mean, just fully loaded, and losing a guy like that is really surprising to me. So that's been one as well. Curious how they replace him. Houston's done a good job. I mean, frankly, you mentioned it. Kelvin Sampson, just an elite coach. I expect him to get a lot out of the guys that he's bringing in, but they're losing guys too. And so it'll be interesting to see kind of how they rebuild from there.
All right, in the Baylor staff, isn't this interesting to know there might be a path for Jerome to return? We've widely hinted at an addition that could be coming, that somebody that has like a bit of a personnel background as well as a coaching background that may have played at Baylor. It's interesting to see Scott at this huge time, right? Not having the whole staff together. In fact, there are 2 or 3 people who may eventually be added to the staff. Now, Grayson, that doesn't mean that people from afar, right, that are probably going to be part of the staff can't be evaluating and giving you some feedback and all, but it is a little bit odd to go through such a huge thing when nothing's set in that area. And Scott's staff, the erosion is well documented. AB, Jared, has to leave during the middle of this season. Jacobs, just guy after guy after guy. There's been a lot of churn. What do you think about the staff? And I think Sanchez is going to stay, but it is interesting to have such an enormous offseason and yet have some instability with your coaching staff.
It is interesting because I think that when you look at it, you go, okay, where's the staff? Who's actually doing these jobs? Who's going out recruiting guys? Who's evaluating? Who's, taking the trips to see players, stuff like that. But I will say this. I think Scott does have his staff. I think the guys that he has on his staff who are going to be on his staff next year are doing this work right now. And so, yes, nothing official has been announced, but enough has been hinted at to kind of know that there are these bones of what this staff is going to look like. There's so many signs that we've mentioned on the premium side of things of who's going to come in, who's going to leave. And the guys who are going to be on the staff next year, the guys that are working on this portal cycle. I also think, to be frank, last year I felt like, and I feel like this has been the last couple of years, missing out on Michael Ratai, missing out on Jeremy Roach, 2 guys that you paid a lot of money to. They needed a shakeup. They needed to figure out something new with how they were evaluating the transfer portal. And I do think that this cycle in particular has probably given Scott Drew a much better opportunity to kind of be more hands-on with that approach and with these decisions. And I think that could be big for them. And that could be something that is maybe a little bit of a missing storyline at this moment about how involved he is compared to maybe the past couple years when it comes to recruiting the transfer portal. Because many people don't realize the head coach doesn't do a ton of this in the portal. Obviously when guys come on campus and stuff, there's that part of it, but the evaluations and stuff, a lot of that are done by your GM. A lot of that is done by the rest of your staff. And then those decisions are made together. But in general, it's not all on the head coach to make those decisions. So I think this offseason, I do think Scott's probably got a more hands-on approach right now.
But this is interesting to me to watch teams like Indiana, spend all this. Also have a GM that had been in the NBA for many, many years, a pretty high-level GM, not a GM with the Pacers, but a high-level executive. It's just interesting to see how different people do it. In Michigan, their associate head coach is really kind of serves as their GM. He's a coach. He's also doing kind of what you're talking about. He's a huge part of the evaluation and building their roster. So it's not like anybody just has figured out, oh, this is the way that works. Tech has a GM. He's a GM. He's not coaching. He's truly just, bringing Grant the players. So I don't know. I think Baylor's trying to find, okay, what's our way going to be? And at least they have some good examples. He's so close to Grant. It's not hard to figure out, okay, why have they been so successful in the portal?
Right. And I do think that's the formula that Scott's trying to figure out this offseason, or has already figured out, as to how he wants to structure this. But what was happening was not working. And I think that's the key, right? So they're changing things. And I think for that reason, there's a little more optimism, at least on my part, about them being able to potentially get this right this year through the portal. Again, it just comes down to, you can't miss on the guys that you spend a ton of NIL on. You have to hit on those guys. And missing on Michael Rataj, massive. Missing on Jeremy Roach, probably even more significant, because I do think if you're able to hit that year on that position, you're probably a dang good team. Like, you're probably more in line with what Baylor had those previous seasons before. That one miss just cost them so much, given how much they, put into him. So yeah, it's an interesting offseason. They definitely made some changes, and I would caution people to put too much stock in them not having an official staff announced at this time, because honestly, those official announcements are just kind of on the back burner right now, because it's all hands on deck for guys to be working and getting this figured out.
Yeah, you don't want one of your portal players becoming like 5 strokes better in golf during the season.
No, that's not what you want.
Okay, let's put your football cap on real quick.
Okay.
And then we'll let you get back to the portal, basketball portal. Hopefully Baylor's gonna, I don't know, because by the way, before we leave that, Dylan Mingo, you brought him up. They've recruited him. He was going to UNC. He committed to UNC. He's decommitted. And do you sense that this is a package deal? Do you hope this is a package deal? Like, what's the biggest, first of all, okay, what do you think is going to happen? Second of all, what's the biggest differentiating factor between the two brothers?
Okay, so that's a good question, the differentiating factor. So one thing I want to bring up really quickly about Dylan is Matt Norlander at CBS Sports, Ion College Basketball. He mentioned that Dylan suffered another injury last month, and that North Carolina was kind of viewing it as they were going to have to redshirt him this year. So he was not going to play. And so that kind of, I think, led to this. So one thing to keep in mind here is that if Baylor does land him, there is a chance, and there are plenty of rumors, speculation. Norlander is a very respected college basketball analyst. I don't think he would make something like this up. So all I'm saying is if Baylor does get him, there is a high likelihood, if these rumors are true, that he would sit out this year, redshirt, and then play the following year. I actually think that's a great path. You'd get him to get him fully healthy. You'd also be able to develop him for a year. So you'd be looking at, we could get Dylan Mingo as a true freshman and see how he does and do the whole one and done thing. Or you could potentially get a 20-year-old Dylan Mingo in his second year at Baylor. That's potentially there. I do think Baylor has a good shot at landing him. I do view this as more realistic now that he could have to redshirt, because I think the price was going to be a little bit too high if he was going to come in just, fully healthy, ready to go, and ready to play for this team. And the reason I say the price was too high is just because the fit would be a little weird. He's not a very good shooter. Caden's not a very good shooter. Isaac shot the ball well last year, but it was on low volume. He wasn't a very good shooter the year before. I don't know that many guys who aren't necessarily great catch and shoot guys makes a ton of sense, even though he's very talented. Both are good in a lot of kind of different areas. Both are point guards. Both can do a lot of those things pretty naturally. I view Dylan as a higher end athlete. He's more explosive, more athletic, more of your top 5 guard, right? This explosive prospect that can get to the rim at will, really quick first step, really good defensive player with the steals, the instincts, kind of like VJ Edgecombe in that way. Caden, not quite as explosive as an athlete, a little bit thicker, a little bit stouter as a prospect at this point. So that's kind of the differentiating factor. So I know a lot of information there, but I do think all of that is pretty important to kind of round out what Baylor would be looking at potentially with him, especially with kind of these rumors and these decisions. But ultimately, I think this could be the best path for them to actually get Dylan, because now, you might, as far as NIL goes, you might not have to put in as much NIL for this season and maybe gear it more towards year number 2. And that could give you kind of a nice kind of upside going into that year, knowing kind of that you're going to be able to build around him a little bit.
Okay. That's very good information. Last thing I had for you on the football end of things. We've talked a lot about Lagway. That's the big headline story, and the ceiling of this season seems to depend really on him. But I saw the Clandy man. I saw Joe Clanderman. I got to meet him in person just yesterday. And I'm just wondering, in your mind, like so far in spring ball, like what's the biggest defensive storyline other than, hey, what we know going into the season, that's going to be huge. He's putting his stamp on this team. But as you kind of have been on these interviews, and I was listening to the safeties and listening to all the guys, you've met with the linebackers, you've seen some of these, who they're going to have on the line. What part of this defense is players or just the position is intriguing you the most through this first 2 or 3 weeks of spring football?
The position that I've been kind of hearing about the most, and the position that I think is going to be, or I guess the position that everyone just seems to be the most high on, given what I've seen in practice, given what I've heard, it really feels like there's a sense of positive momentum for Baylor's defensive line. And I think a lot of it comes down to, health. A lot of it comes down to Hosea Wheeler being eligible. That's a huge piece of the puzzle because he and Jamal Weiss give them something very unique in the Big 12 as far as interior defensive linemen. Those two are very, very good. I think pretty underrated nationally. I think they have a chance to be one of the best defensive tackle, nose tackle combos in the league this year. Aside from that, you bring back Devontae Tizino, who had a very underwhelming year last year. I think the staff is really excited about him. He just has to stay healthy. Xavier Hardy was the #1 JUCO prospect in the country. Went to South Carolina, transfers in. Lots of upside, lots of optimism about what he could bring to the table. They have depth there as well, but those 4 guys just seem to be 4 guys that really stand out. And if, injuries don't happen, if Wheeler stays eligible, I think that is the area I'm sensing the most confidence from Baylor right now. And I find that to be fascinating because they were so weak there a year ago. But going into the portal and really attacking it appears to have helped at least up to this point. And I do think there's a trickle-down effect. If the defense line is a lot better, I think it makes the linebackers look a lot better. I think it ends up making the secondary look a lot better. So if that does happen, I do think that bodes well. Other names, Ryan Davis, Garrick Ponder at the jack positions. Those are 2 guys that I know have done well. I think they're going to be upgrades there. I don't know if they're going to be dominant players on the edge, but I do think they're going to be upgrades from what they had a year ago to mix with kind of their interior defense linemen and their defensive ends. It's just a group that I'm sensing a lot of optimism about as spring football kind of nears its end.
All right, they're going to try to throw a haymaker this year, and a lot is riding on it, everything moving forward. And I like seeing a physically imposing defensive coordinator. As I was standing there next to him, I'm like, I like a man, at that position on the staff that towers over me. I kind of like that.
Was he wearing the cutoff sleeves when you saw him? Because I've seen him a couple times at practice with the cutoff sleeves as well, and I'm like, oh man, this is football right here.
But he had a little of that military hairstyle, and I used to go with that. And I may go back to it at some point. I feel like I got a little more respect from people when I had the short hair. But it's a nice look. It's a nice look. Now, yesterday he was at the Brazos Landing, and so you got to kind of wear sleeves there, right? Becky Lindsay might ask you to leave if you came in there sleeveless or wearing a hoodie or something like that. But anyway, Grayson, good stuff. Love reading all your material. I like, and especially on Sickle 365, and I pay the premium. I'm a premium member. And then when you and Ashley will do, because while y'all compare notes, you certainly kind of come at things, in a little different manner. So sometimes you'll list out, okay, here's Grayson's thoughts on everything portal-wise. Here's Ashley's. And I really like anybody that has a counter to Ashley. I appreciate, okay? But no, I like reading your stuff. So I appreciate it. And I like Levi's work too. Although there are reports that Levi has a bachelor. I mean, we got a huge TCU series. And I'm getting reports that Levi has like a bachelor party or something. We cannot. I want you to talk. You're part of management. I want y'all to meet and make sure y'all are okay with him doing that, okay?
I will. I'll talk to him about it. I cannot confirm or deny it. All I know is Levi's done a fantastic job with baseball. And, hey, they're right there. They're right there. They might be able to make a regional this year. It would be really exciting because, it's been a while. Matter of fact, the last time they made a regional, I was covering the Baylor baseball team on Sickle 365. The year with, Wetzel and Shea Langoliers, the team that should have made it out of their regional, but just it didn't quite all come together for them. But that it's just so fascinating that it's been that long since they made it to a regional. So lots of optimism there, I'd say. And hopefully it happens for Levi's sake.
Yeah, and go out there. There's a carnival happening on one of those days, like Saturday morning, and you'll want to take part in that. You got a little one, don't you? Yeah. I mean
newborn.
Yeah.
Yep, newborn.
I don't know if the newborn's ready for the Ferris wheel ride, but
not yet. 7
the
weeks
tilt-a-whirl is in your little one's future for sure. Thank you, Grayson. Appreciate you, buddy.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
You bet. There he goes. Grayson Grunhafer does a really nice job over on Siegmund 365. And I pay the premium, and it's very much worth it. And I even occasionally, I try to stay out of the comments, because every once in a while, Kevin, I'll just kind of be randomly looking through there, and it'll be like somebody will attack me. I'm like, whoa, what did I do? But I have pretty thick skin, but still, it's just kind of like jolting, like, oh, geez, okay, somebody's mad at me. But they really provide good inside information, and there's some fun stuff on there. And Ashley and Grayson are both very much tied in. So there's a lot of breaking news, and then I have to kind of watch it because, I'm not really allowed when I get stuff on there. I can't just be coming on here with it. So what I try to do is get my own stuff when I report it, but I do love looking at all their stuff. Okay, but eyes on our own paper. Kevin, good stuff. If you've got any more campus, we'll do some of that. I did want to let people hear, this is for our Cowboys fans. My friend Bobby Belt at 105.3 has come up with an interesting scenario. Now, on another front, there's some kind of fight, Kevin, I can't remember if I sent this to you. It's like my used to do radio with me, Brian Brazos. He's mad that, there's something people don't like where he's got Sonny Styles ranked, and he got kind of worked up. I mean, it's kind of interesting. But this thing I want to share with you is this interesting scenario where if the Cowboys stay at home, maybe they get exactly who they want. Let's hear that scenario and react to it next.
If I had somebody that was looking for a car, I would definitely recommend Allen Samuels. The trust that I have, the care that they take, they genuinely want to take care of you. They really ask for your feedback when you go to the support department to make sure they're taking care of you in every way possible. So I really appreciate that they listen to your feedback.
Like Allen Samuels always said, Waco has a lot to offer, and so do we at Allen Samuels Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, Fiat. Come by, let's be friends.
The Riesel Fair is back and bigger than ever. Bring the whole family for a day packed with fun, from thrilling rides, delicious food, local vendors, and live music Friday night. Saturday music begins at 2 p.m. Admission is $5 for adults, 2 to 12 years, $3. 2 and under are free. Mark your calendar and join us for the Riesel Fair, May 7th through 9th. The Riesel Fair, where memories are waiting just for you.
This year, I made a New Year's resolution. I want every business to own a new copier from CTWP. Call me, Leroy the Copier Dog. Let's get you a copier delivered today. CTWP, your local copier company.
At Schmaltz Sandwich Shop, we don't just make sandwiches, we build them with fresh ingredients, bold flavors, and homemade baked bread every single day. Toasty on the outside, goodness on the inside. Schmaltz Sandwich Shop in Waco is locally owned and operated since 1975 with 2 locations in Waco, Town West off Valley Mills and downtown off 5th Street. Whether it's lunch, dinner, or just a craving, we got the perfect bite waiting for you.
Introducing Muck-Off's classic pink bike cleaner, powered by revolutionary nanotechnology that breaks down dirt and grime on a microscopic level while protecting your bike's delicate finish. us.muc-off.com.
At Open Goal USA, we're revolutionizing training for both soccer and lacrosse with our innovative portable rebounders. Perfect for players of all ages and skill levels. Visit OpenGoAAALusa.com and elevate your training today.
Looking for tickets to the hottest shows, games, and events? Ticket Liquidator is your one-stop shop for great prices, no hassles, and guaranteed tickets. Whether it's sports, theater, or concert, for the best seats at the biggest events, start with Ticket Liquidator today at ticketliquidator.com. Ticket Liquidator.
Send money abroad in just a few steps with Remitly. Sign up with your email, enter an amount, choose how your loved ones receive the money, enter your recipient's information, select a payment method, hit send, and relax. Download the Remitly app today.
Hi, I'm Mitch, the co-founder of Cake, a sexual health and wellness company designed for today and designed for you. Yes, you. The entire product line can be found at hellocake.com, and it's also available in every Walmart near you.
Couples in the league about how they negotiate that dynamic as protein.
I understand why you have to ask that question, but we're going to respectfully decline from commenting on our players' first one. The next question.
Oh, it is. Sorry, Kev. I was buried in something very fascinating that Kevin Sherrington, people probably thought my screen had frozen, had asked AZ Fudd the other night. I had not really seen that clip. He asked her about her relationship with the star player. I mean, I don't know if that's out of bounds or whatever, but I guess somebody jumped in and said, respectfully, we're not going to answer a question about her personal. I don't know who jumped in and said that, but the player did not respond. So interesting. I mean, I think that's happened on other WNBA teams, but it's interesting that the person who asked the question is this, older, he's a friend of mine, but he's been around for a long time, Kevin Sherrington at the Dallas Morning News. And that just does not totally seem like, Kevin. I mean, I guess it was, again, I'm not saying it was inappropriate or anything, but it's just interesting that Kevin was asking that. Our man Grayson, who we just had on, was alluding to this. Cincinnati all Big 12 forward Baba Miller has entered the portal as of about 42 minutes ago. Pretty big news. Baba can shoot from three. He can play down low. He can block shots. He's a 6'10", 6'11", player with a lot of versatility. In fact, you will not find too many bigs with this much athleticism. Now, he'll also drive you nuts. He'll turn the ball over. He'll dribble too much. There's some things he does that drive you a little bit nuts, but let's keep an eye on this. I mean, would he be a great fit for Baylor? I mean, absolutely. Why in the world would you ever run with a huge wingspan, 6'10", can dribble, can shoot, can do a lot, can actually shoot the three? He was he was an ascending player at FAU. Very exciting player a couple of years ago. He goes to Cincinnati. He was fine. I don't know if I wouldn't call him great. Let me look at his numbers. I don't know. I would be totally now. His coach that he went to Cincinnati for is in Charlotte, and Jizzle James, the point guard for Cincinnati, has already gone to Charlotte. So it might not be shocking if he joins that organization. Bob has started at Florida State. Then he started a bunch of games at Florida State, by the way. Then he went to FAU, and when he was at FAU, he shot 34% from three. He took about 3.5 threes a game, and he scored 11 a game. At Cincinnati, he scored 13 a game. He was awful from three, but I mean, my gosh, 13 points and 10 rebounds a game. Yeah, sign me up for that experience. 6'11", 204 pounds from Spain, the Spaniard. He's, by the way, thank you, Central National Bank. I saw one of the nephews of Joe Nesbitt, George Nesbitt, out there on Twitter the other night, making some good comments, had some good thoughts. Baba Miller is now out there in the portal, and I just kind of want to keep everybody posted on that. There's another signee from Penn State. Georgia has signed Penn State guard transfer Freddie DeLone. DeLone ranks as the number 66 overall transfer and the number 7 shooting guard in the rankings. Averaged 14 points a game. Who knew, Kevin? I mean, maybe Indiana struggled with Penn State. I don't know. I mean, Penn State had a couple of pretty good guards. One of them's at Baylor now, and one of them is at Georgia. So we got a lot of people moving around here. But, boy, that Baba Miller thing certainly has my attention. All right, and I'll keep my eye on that. The other thing that happened in the last 24 hours, Kevin, that it involved your alma mater, sort of, although your beloved school, let's call it, and you grew up right there, right down the road. Indiana guard Tatum Connerway entered the portal. This is kind of an interesting player. Played at Troy and was the Sun Belt Conference Player of the Year. I would not say was great at Indiana. Certainly played plenty of minutes. But as you know, Kevin, there are probably people at Indiana saying good riddance, right? Well, by tomorrow, if this guy goes to Kentucky or somewhere, they'll be like acting like Connerway's the greatest thing ever. Oh my gosh, we got Connerway. So
he played a lot in and out. He was kind of hurt in and out throughout the season, and so kind of became the backup point guard. But when he was out there, he was electric.
Not bad.
He's a little bit more of a drive the lane, don't share it kind of player. So
okay, all right. I've not heard any word on Nick Cody, the kid from Texas. I had my eye on him because I know his dad. His dad played football at Baylor. I just kind of wanted to see where Nick was in the portal because he kind of did some things I liked at UT, but I'm really not seeing much. Since he entered the portal on April 9th, he averaged 4.1 points and 3.1 rebounds. But I liked him in the tournament. I liked the way he played in the tournament. But it's just, I don't know. I don't know where he's going to end up. But I'm told it will not be with the Baylor Bears. Now, Kev, I'd be remiss not to share, the huge breaking news. And okay, I'll tell you what, before we do that, I do at the end of the show, Kevin, remind me, I would like to sound off on the live golf. Oh my gosh. Oh, really? Even the Saudis don't like just throwing billions of dollars away? Really? Even the Saudis get sick of doing that at some point. All right. Well, it looks like they have. And now they're all going to come crawling back. And Phil will have to go play on the senior tour, which they call something else, the Champions Tour, whatever it is. Or he'll try to play on PGA events. But they've all have to come back. Rahm and Bryson with their tail between their legs. All right? I mean, did you have your fun? Did you enjoy yourselves? Being on your little teams, 54 holes, shotgun starts. I mean, it was a farce from the beginning. But, you pay people enough money, they'll go do anything. All right? Any sort of ethics or, I care about the game or the growth of and then to hide behind I love somebody had a great line yesterday. It's like, wait, I thought they were doing live to grow the game. So surely they'll just keep doing it, even though they're not getting paid, to keep growing the game. Loved it. I think it was Jason Sobel, who, by the way, was the guy that Scotty got after the other day. Said it was a terrible question. I don't know. It's very interesting. Scotty, people were getting under Scotty's skin the other day. I don't know what was happening with all that, but that was happening. Okay, I'll tell you what we'll do. We've got two things that I want to do on. They both kind of involve Sonny Styles, or he's mentioned in these. Kev, let's do the Bobby Belt that I sent you. This is on 105.3 The Fan in Dallas, and Bobby was painting a scenario. This was on with Sean and RJ. They're on the morning show. I used to be at the radio station. I helped raise RJ Choppy in the business. But they were talking about, he painted a scenario where the Cowboys have the choice of 3 really high caliber players at number 12. I find this, and I think, Kevin, you and I in our conversations have a little bit hit on this. Why do you go rolling up the board if you think there's a chance that one of these top guys may get shoved down to you? Save the number 20 pick. Do you not like the 20 pick? Are you just desperate for the 39 pick or the 40 pick? Are you desperate to give away your picks? Maybe save your picks. This has been a little bit of a rally cry from us here recently. I like seeing other people when they agree with us. But the scenario he comes up with is a very interesting one. Let's listen to it and react.
We're going to watch.
Yeah, they'll wait for a phone to ring.
And no, I don't even think that. I think they're going to watch and they're going to see how stuff goes and we'll react to whatever's ahead of us.
Well, you can't wait and watch for Reese or Bailey.
No, but here's what I think you're watching for. I don't think Reese or Bailey, I don't think they go up to 3. I just don't think they have the capital for it. But let's say
they do, right? But they just don't want to spend it.
No, they don't. They don't really have the capital.
Next year's.
You would have to sacrifice everything you have on day one and more into that. They don't have resources to do that.
But to Charles' point, they do, but they don't.
They do in the sense that Mike Ditka had their entire draft to trade for Ricky Williams, and he did, but no reasonable human being would do it. Right. These are what if this is the top 10?
Mike had tea time. He's like, I'm not doing this.
I don't think this is absurd. The Raiders take Mendoza. The Jets take Arvell Reese, which yesterday they cancel their 30 visit with David Bailey, apparently. Arizona takes David Bailey. Titans then take Jeremiah Love, who they've been connected to. The Giants are a big pivot point in there. The Giants at 5, what if they take Francis Mauigoa? They do need offensive line. There are people who think the Giants could be in there. Okay, well, Cleveland has been talked about as being really big on Spencer Fano. Okay, now we're at Washington. They would take Carnell Tate in that instance. If Love's off the board, they would take Tate. Okay, well, you got New Orleans, who wants a pass rusher, Bain. And then you've got Kansas City, who's been on Jordan Tyson. Now you get to Cincinnati and Miami ahead of you, and Delane, Styles, and Downs are still on the board. It's 3 players with 2 picks to go. I don't think it's I don't know that it's definitely it plays out that way, but I don't think that's ridiculous to think it could happen that way. And if it happens that way, Dallas would watch the board and go, we're not moving. Why would we sacrifice that 20th pick knowing one of those 3?
You said Bain, Delane, Downs?
No, Delane, Styles, Downs. I don't think it's impossible to think that as pick 10 rolls around and you're 2 out, that those 3 are there. And I think those are the 3 that they would really be focusing on.
That's your dream scenario.
Okay. I mean, we were so used to seeing Bailey 2 and Reese 3, but I mean, okay, maybe they switch. There are teams that need an offensive lineman really badly. We kind of forget about it. We've been so into these offensive players. You got the running back and the receiver who will shove a couple of defenders maybe down a little bit. Cowboys stay at 12. Delaney, Styles, or Downs. I would say I think this is a long shot, but that doesn't mean it's not interesting to kind of think about. If there's some scenario where all 3 are going to be there, then you almost think that one of them might for sure be there. Now, again, they could be gone. In that scenario he gave, Bain goes at like 8, right? We've also seen people indicate that. I saw somebody say that even if Bain were still there at 20, the Cowboys might not take him. Okay. And that gets back into, Kevin, is it Bain?
More likely than the other.
Is it Bain's short arms? Is it this story that's out there on him now about him being the driver in an accident where somebody was killed eventually in a wreck that he allegedly caused? That, again, that case was dropped later at some point, but more people certainly would have some concerns over the judgment there. What were you saying, Kev? You're saying that would be
I think that it's more likely that the Cowboys would pass on him at 20 than he would go at 8. I think it's more likely to have that happen than the scenario that they presented. To me, this is not only a dream scenario; it's a fantasy scenario. I don't think that there is a way that all 3 of those players are there.
But you get what I'm saying. Even if you think it's a fantasy scenario, the fact that you could even imagine it, maybe makes you start thinking that at least one of those guys might be available to you. Not all 3.
I think that's kind of the nature of this draft, that there's so much unknown because there's not too many of the players that are standout other than just a handful.
I think the highest ceiling of that threesome right there is Styles. I think the safest thing the Cowboys could do, knowing how much trouble they've had at cornerback, is to take perhaps the best cornerback of the draft. And some people may say, what about the guy from Tennessee? Well, the Cowboys don't seem to want to take him. All right. He didn't play last year. There's an injury history. They really would like to get out of that business of the injured. They need walk-in day one starter. So here's what I would say of these players. I would say Delane would be your safest. Styles would have the highest ceiling. Downs, is there a difference between safest and cleanest? When I say cleanest, I mean that in you almost cannot find anything wrong with Downs. You say, well, what does that mean exactly? Well, not only as a player, but as a person, apparently from an intangibles standpoint, leadership, interviews, he has blown everybody away. So that's why I say cleanest prospect of these 3.
See,
of these 3.
I think what everybody just thinks of him as a safety, and they go, why are you draft a safety that high? I think what everybody forgets is he was the return man for most of his career as well. So he, like Jeremiah Love, is getting this. Well, he's a dual weapon. Caleb Downs is as well. There's a lot of different things that he can do.
And to your point, people are saying about when they talk about him, like, forget about position. And not just him. In this first round, in that first 10 to 15, forget about position. Like what we've been taught, right? Wait, don't take a running back in the top 5. You don't need a safety that high in the draft. We're seeing things like that. Sometimes, as you would hear from an old coach or something, some people are football players. And that may be what Caleb Downs is. Now you say, Matt, all these guys are football players. Yes, technically. But I think most people know what I'm saying. Let's real quick, Kev, play that one from Louis Riddick Jr. Talking about Sonny Styles?
One great player, or do you want two good ones? That's sort of the way they'd be looking at it.
But I think, I mean, I get it. I understand that you kind of like want more cracks at it, and maybe you feel as though you can kind of fill a couple more needs. Sonny is can't miss, though.
Yeah.
He's cannot miss. Let me say that again. He is cannot miss. When you get him, you know you're getting a great player. You're getting a great person. And that's exactly what they need on that side of the ball, where all we did was kill them last year, and deservedly so. This guy will change that.
Okay. Lewis, who I used to have on a lot and really does a great job, can't miss. Wow. Now you might say that about Arvell or Bailey, but I don't think you do. I don't think you do. I think mean, both those great players, and they'll probably go second and third overall. Quarterbacks, as much as I love Fernando, you never totally know. There's very few that you can just totally be convinced. Maybe Peyton was one of those. Maybe if they weren't convinced on Mahomes, or they wouldn't have let him drop so far to the Chiefs. But there are very few players that you literally just think that about, like can't miss. So that's interesting to hear that about Styles. Now,
I think the other part of that too is 12 and 20. If you give both of those up to move up, which was the scenario where to get Sonny Styles in this scenario they were talking about, Cowboys don't have a second round pick. They don't have another pick till 92. And so you'd be giving up both of those. Potentially you get something back from the Cowboys if you're moving up to 6, but in the other scenario where they're talking about move up to 3, you're giving up a lot and not getting anything back to move up to get him. So, and then you don't have anything.
Yeah, that was going up to number 3. I think there's a thought if you went up to 6, and you traded both of those to get up there,
they would give you back 30 something.
Yeah, like 39 or something like that. And I was trying to remember who they said at 39. That was Kuiper. I think it was T.J. Parker.
Yeah. The Browns then would be that. Yeah.
Yes. So I do think, and that then, Kevin, gets into a question of, like, in this draft, if let's say you think there's a huge fall off after the first 16 players or first 18 players, whatever. If that's the case, and you don't think there's like this massive difference between 20 and 39, then you might want to think about something like that. But I like this scenario, thinking through the fact that there's really a great chance that you could have a player. Now, to finish that thought on Bain, the more I think about this and hear the way people talk about him, the more I wonder if he might not be the guy who slips out of the first round. It does happen to someone almost every year. And it's kind of rare when it's someone hugely productive like this, that had a massive platform, playing for the national title, had a great run up to it. Great player. It seems like it does happen year in, year out to somebody. And unfortunately for Mr. Bain, he could draw the short straw in this year's draft, which will happen a week from today. And we're going to be on the scene. Pete and I are going to be out at North Lake, and it's going to be great. It's going to be great. I mean, we're going to be in North Lake. I'll tell you what, tomorrow, Friday, I'll give you a bunch of information on that and how to get out there, the whole thing. It's because it's a cool golf. It's called the Argyle Open. Argyle. I guess it's maybe out that direction. Argyle, Texas is out there, but this is called the Argyle Open, and it's in North Lake, out there kind of between, out there, kind of toward Denton, between Grapevine and Denton, perhaps. And the golf simulators, the huge screens, the sound will be up. We'll have the PA up. And, Pete and I will just kind of do our thing. We'll see who shows up. And I got to think that a good number of you guys will. And we'll enjoy interacting with you as we get ready to do this. Okay. It is the Mosley Show. And great to be with you again. And we will see you tomorrow. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, Grayson Grunhafer. Kevin, let's check one last time and make sure the Bears have not landed anybody else in the portal. All right. This is our end of the day check to make sure we don't miss anything big. No. And I did talk a little bit about the whole golf thing. I'll try to see if I can do some of that tomorrow. Rangers are up in the middle of the fourth inning, 1-0 over the A's. And so that's good. And then making sure we don't have anything I need to hit before we go. I think we're good. All right. Oh, by the way, the Chiefs general manager has come out earlier today saying he's expecting a lot of trades in the first round. Interesting. Brett Veach. It should be an entertaining night. There'll probably be a lot of trades. Very interesting. I think that fans will be in for a treat next Thursday because I think the trades are going to be so close from some of those offensive tackles and DNs and receivers. A lot of these guys that are mocked high may go a little lower. And a lot of these guys that are getting mocked a little lower may go higher because I think they're so close this year. There's not this huge gap and huge fall off. Love it. Love it. I love the thought of a guy that everybody's mocked in the 20s going in the top 10. And then everybody goes, it's a reach. It's a reach. I don't know. Maybe they loved him. Maybe your mock is elite as a reach. All right, Kev, excellent work. I'm going to leave it with you. All right, I'm going to retire for the afternoon. Not forever, just for the afternoon. Everybody have a great one. We'll see you tomorrow at 1 o'clock.
As part of Central National Bank's partnership with Baylor women's basketball, we asked Coach Collins to take a shot at improving the efficiency of our drive-thru.
The lane is open! Drive the lane! Attack the lane! Go! 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 Go!
We have a few kinks to work out.
Is this what you had in mind when you invited her?
No. I think you should say something to her.
Me?
Let's make Craig do it.
Okay, yeah.
You're gonna take this canister and you're gonna shoot it up.
Be all right. Be all right. Just be confident. Hey, Coach. Can I have a word with you?
Craig, not right now. I'm with a customer.
Okay.
Central National Bank, proud partner of Baylor Athletics and Baylor women's basketball.